Well, hello there. In this video, I will be demonstrating how to use the VS Code extension that we are working on, the DocuScribe. And to start, we first have to install the extension. For that, let's first go to the menu under the extensions section, and then you can easily install it on this drop down and select the install from VSIX. We have packaged our extension so that it's easy to install and use. So just click install and you should see it soon after it has completed the installation on your extensions menu. Right here, DocuScribe by Code2Doc. This is our plugin. Now, what this plugin does, first we have to open a directory. And for that, I do have one that I'll be using as a demo. This one right here, test case. Basically, what our plugin is trying to do is trying to streamline the process of actually getting started on a project. Let's assume that we're given code, like in this case, there's no documentation, just some functions. I can tell that it's some kind of terminal program. I can see that it's about students and he does use some kind of database. It has functions for getting the student information, for deleting it, or adding one and having some information about the age, some structure with the student information. Okay, but let's say that I just got to this and I would like more information, like maybe a README file. So for that, our extension has these commands from that allow us to first create a README file. Let's start with that. And what this will do is that it will communicate with Oleama. You must have Oleama installed on your computer first, and you must have at least one model, one LLM installed, so you can use it, so the extension can use it. Pretty much similar to how Continue works. If you have ever used this plugin to use agents locally, it's similar, but basically what extension does is help instead to create this kind of documentation files. So in this case, you can see it generated this file, scribe readme, and it does talk a little bit about the future. Is aware of the workspace, so it can recognize the main files. In this case, the main, the other files, system behavior, how they work. So now I have something more to work with. But what happens if I want to have a little bit more of a reference file? So not just a README file, but actually understanding how things interact. So we do have another one, another command, generate reference right here. And we have one more command that basically what does is that it starts adding comments or doc strings. However, something that's important to notice is that something that I forgot to mention before when I was explaining about Oleama is that you must have Oleama running. If you don't, the plugin will give you a warning, and I will show that just in a minute. It's almost done generating the file. You can see this status right here, generating reference file. And it should pop up here as a markdown file too. And then after that, I will show how to generate inline docs. Right there, reference file. And as you can see, is pretty much aware of the different classes, the different files again. But now it goes more in details about the files, the methods, the classes, the methods. Like we saw before, it does have. It does recognize the add student, basically how we call those functions, the explanation of those functions, and actually more details about it, like the database in this case. but it's aware of the environment that you're working on. Finally, like I wanted to say before, what happens if we don't have Oleama running? And just to demonstrate the last function, let's say that I want to understand this a little bit better. I will really like to have some kind of doc strings for this file. So I go here and I select generate inline documentation for current file. So you can see it can detect that it's missing a pipeline or not getting the contact information for the pipeline. So in this case, it means that we have to install, start the Oleama server. You have to have it installed and running. Okay, so now that's running. We should be able to run that function again. Now, something that we would like to add is that there are our code does have some functions that the LLMs or the agents can trigger. And the idea is that even though currently we are just writing that under the scribe method, we can easily add functions or logic to detect whether there is a README file, for example, and if we should overwrite it or maybe ask the user for a comparison. Another application we may have thought is to have a pane on the right side to give live context of the file. In this case, you can see how I created the inline docs just with the same name, but just appended it with this scribe dash inline docs. If I open it, some things that we're working on that shouldn't be difficult is just capturing this sections that will just require a simple regular expression. But if we remove those sections that are naturally generated by the LLM, we can see how now it's the same class, the same functions to for example detect the age, but now it has a lot more doc strings, so we can understand much better how it's operating. And that's pretty much how it works. Thank you for watching.